So for those of you who haven't heard about Luminar 4, this will be a good video to go through to get the kind of pulse of what Luminar 4 is all about. And for those who are using Luminar 4, I'm sure there will be some familiar areas for you. But I'm not going to be going into specific details, but just showing you the features and why I'm so excited about the program. Okay, so let's open up Luminar 4. I've sort of installed it. It's quite a clean installation. Luminar 4 is out now as of the recording. The version is 4.1, which has got all the enhancements that the company has released up until this point. So what happens is initially you start off, you've got to create a catalog, and the catalog system works quite a bit different to that of Lightroom if you're familiar with it. It has similarities, but it's also just more streamlined. So I don't have a previous catalog, so I'm going to just say create a new catalog, and I have a folder YouTube that I put it into, and let me just call this YouTube also. Okay, so I'm creating a catalog, and what I'm going to do is just show you the different work processes that I would go through. So this is what it opens as, gives you indicator of where you've just created that catalog. And then the plus sign is your very beginning. Now, it's very interesting. You notice here it looks all basic, simple, and that's what it's intended to be. It's intended to be click, get the job done, do a bit of tweaks and so forth. And for those people who are purists, who want to start from a blank canvas and start tweaking every single button all on your own and manipulate every mask, you can also do it in this program. Okay, but I'm going to go and say add a folder with images. Okay, so I'm going to navigate to, let's go to my pictures folder. We did a shoot of a model. Let me just choose that folder. Okay, I'm going to choose the root folder. It will bring in all the subfolders, which is actually quite interesting. So I'm going to go, okay. So I'm bringing in that folder. Now that folder has quite a few massive size raw files. In some cases, you only want to be working on the raw files. If I understand it correctly, in Lightroom, it only opens the raw files. Here you have a choice of deciding. Now, forgive me if Lightroom is updated since the last I fiddled with it, that it's able to do open RAW or JPEGs. This one has the ability to go into view, and you can say, listen, you only show the RAW, only show the JPEGs, or show them separately. So I'm going to just leave it on RAW. And here's the folder that's come in, and I'm going to click into the second folder. So you have the usual that you have photos able to be imported in as a bulk like this. And if you hover over the images, you also have the ability to give it a certain number of stars and, make it favorites, and then, of course, filter them by that. But I'm going to just go through the program to show you the workflow that one would, or you could take if you're busy working with something like this. Okay, so let's just choose a photo, maybe this one over here. Now I can double click to make it a single view, or I could click on top here and it will just bring that photo to the fore. So let's go across the menu on top. Not the pop-down menu, just the menu that we see on top here with the icons. It's very basic, and that's what I like about it. It is designed well to do the job and to focus on the job at hand. So those of you who've come from the world of serif products like the Affinity Designer, Photo, and Publisher, which I simply love. My favorite of those three is, of course, Affinity Designer. You'll notice that they speak about personas there. And here, they tend to also use something similar to personas. They don't give it specific persona names, but I'll show it to you in the Edit tab. But we are now in the Library tab, which is the one where we're having the catalog of images. If I click between the different folders, I'm able to go through to the different folders and the content. And I'm scrolling on the side, I can see that. But here at the bottom, something interesting, you'll notice it says Luminar Looks. And it references this top area. If I click on this top area, it hides that window. If I click there again, it brings it back. Okay, so Luminar Looks are like presets. You do a preset of a particular object, and you save that preset. So if I had to do modifications on this, I could come and say save the new look, and it would put a user category for me and save it. So that if I want to apply this to 20 photos or 100 photos, I could just say apply that look to 100 photos, and then it gives me a starting point. Why is that essential? Mainly because people like photographers who are working, like in this case, we did a shoot of this model in the same environment, same lighting, everything. So sometimes you want to do the core basic adjustments and apply it to everything, and then go specifically into each one. The one thing I like about this also is that if you apply this particular look onto this image now, it literally is sort of clumped together on this image, and everything else you do is very much controlled by that look. They have the ability here, when I go to the next window, to create a layer, and on that layer have an adjustment layer. Then when you add this look to it, it puts it into that adjustment layer that can keep it independent, so that you can create multiple layers, multiple adjustment layers. It is quite incredible in that way. So at this stage, I wouldn't go in and apply the look yet. I'm just showing you what's happening. Then we have the views, or maybe I should just show you the look here. If you go Luminar looks, there's a portrait there. If I click that button, it's showing me all the other collections of different looks, which is technically like presets, but they're much more advanced than presets. And your user ones would be in there, all the favorites, all of the looks if you click on here, and then you can get many more. So there's many more looks that are available in different collections which you can have access to. Okay, so we've got this image. We can zoom in and out or full screen with that. Here, if I've made any adjustment, when I click on the eye icon, it will show me the unadjusted image. And when I let go, it will show it to me with the adjustments. Here is an A and B. Now we've got no adjustments on it, so there's no A and B to see, but I'll show it to you later. This is the crop tool to be able to do crop and rotating. This is a quick export of the image that you have on the screen. You can click that and export the image. This program is mostly used for exporting batch files. You can export one at a time, two at a time, 20, 100. But when you do that export, it gives you tons of more features with the export. Okay, and then of course we have to be able to view it. The last one here is we can view multiple images, or we can view a single image. Okay, so if I'm on this second image here, if I go multiple, it will show me all the images here, but the one I've selected will come back into this window. Okay, so that's for that window on top, and that's how simple it is. You know, if you go under images here, you'll see things like the ability to rate it here without needing to click on the setting flags onto the images. So often you'd have in this area, in your menus, you'd have things that are replicated in the icons that we see around. So in your own time, you can sort of filter through that area, but it's pretty much replicas of certain things that appear on the visual element that we see here. So let's look now. We're going to move from the library. Let me just recap before I forget. All the images are up here in a sort of, you can with the mouse wheel scroll up. These are the looks that you have. You can hide the looks and show them again. I'm going to hide them. And these are those menus I've explained. So now before I go into, I wanted to say let's get into the real meat. But before we get to the edit section, I'm going to just click on info. What info does, it gives us this histogram, but more important, the metadata, which camera was taken, the lens, the focus points or the exposure area, all these settings, the usual that the f-stop and so forth. But the exciting area now is the edit area. Okay, so I explained earlier about those kind of personas. Now, trust me, these aren't called personas, but in my head, I just reference them as personas. So, Essential, Creative, Portrait, and Pro. And in version 3 of Luminar, they were laid out very differently. You had a pop-out window, you clicked, and it kind of built these layers, multiple layers. I love the way this is done. This is just so clean, and you literally click through the different, forgive me, I'm going to just say personas. Click through the different personas, and then you have extra pop downs with advanced settings and everything. And the one great thing about this whole setup is that every time you want to make an adjustment, like if I'm on color and I want to make an adjustment, I have the color thing and there's some advanced settings. So they don't show you the whole list that scrolls down. They know there's certain features that you just want to tweak quickly, but if you want to dig in deeper, you have the advanced settings and then you make it visible. So I love the user interface, just awesome. And then the other thing that is brilliant, that is unique for Luminar, is this edit mask on each of these features. Some of them don't have it because it's not relevant, but the edit mask feature, because what you're able to do here is you'll be able to do the modification on, in this case, the color, but then you're able to go and either exclude or include where that area will be displayed. So I could edit the mask and edit a feature on the area, and then I can go to another area, maybe black and white in conversion, and click edit mask and make the black and white only appear in certain areas using mask. That for me is incredible. So you literally can paint little masks of different area where these adjustments would appear. So on one image you can have 10 different adjustment tweaks all acting on different areas. That is phenomenal. Okay, and then beyond that we have the AI section, which I'll express very shortly. So we have those settings in those different areas, but before I get there, this is there's two buttons on top here. This one is the canvas where you're doing cropping. Erasing is, you can do the smart erase where you're able to, like content aware erase, then clone and stamp tool. And then if your lens, you can come in here and say auto distortion. You can see that the image does a little bit of, what do you call it? It's taking into account the Canon camera that we're using and then correcting the distortion on the image there. Okay, so you can do that as the canvas setting. So for me, that is brilliant. It just makes sense. You are working with a canvas. You're going to rotate things. You are going to clone them. And then when you're done with that, you don't have to see these menus when you move on. Okay, the layers. I'm just going to cover one of the areas that I think are so exciting. I showed you earlier the looks. Okay, so if I have to add a look on, it dumps it onto this layer. But the workflow that I could recommend is to create a layer, separate layer, but just not an ordinary layer. There's different types of layers you can create. So I can go in here and I can duplicate this layer, or I can add a new layer. But when I add a new one, it's got 3 different types of layers you create. Now, I'm not going to talk about the other 2. I'm going to just talk about this one, add new adjustment layer. This for me is so exciting. If I click here, add new adjustment layer. Now this one gives me, as I explained, a mask in which I can mask where the adjustment is. But now look at this. I'm on an adjustment layer. Okay. While I'm on the adjustment layer, I can go through and do adjustments on any of these 4 personas here, or I can come and I can pull in a look. So let me pull in this look here. I'm going to just click on this and it's going to pull that look into the image. Okay, then I can hide the looks. So what I've done is I've pulled that look in here. But that, because I've created an adjustment layer, it's pulled the look onto the adjustment layer. So if I disable the adjustment layer, the look is gone. Isn't that awesome? So the reason for that is if I wanted to do this, but I wanted just that adjustment look to be on, let's say, the background. I don't want it to be on I could go into edit mask, brush, and here I can come in and say erase. And what I'm going to do now, I can set, brush size, opacity on the usual. I can now erase the actual adjustment on a particular area. So if you look at that now, if I click the mask, that's what I've done. Okay, if I click again, let go of the mouse, then it will start removing a bit more. Okay, so I could go and leave the mask on and just make sure that I clean up this whole area, because all I want is with that background area. Let's say that was the idea. Okay, then I go back to paint, switch the mask off. So what I've done is taken that adjustment, applied it to that back area, and I've removed it from this area because I was able to edit the mask here. So that for me is very, very exciting. I'm not limited to the fact that I'm just, I take a look and then it overrides everything that I'm busy. So if I wanted to create a different look for a face, I can go in and say, let's add another adjustment layer. And in this adjustment layer, let me go in for a different look. I'm going to say go black and white because this would make it at least more sort of appealing into the area. So I'm clicking on a black and white now. Let me hide that looks. So remember this adjustment layer, I can rename it also. I think I can rename it. Let's see. Yeah, I can rename it. So let me call this warm back. Okay, and then on the other adjustment layer, I'm going to just rename that and call this BW, black and white. But now look at the incredible thing here. I don't want the area at the back to be black and white. So I am going to now click Edit Mask and I'm going to add the black and white. So I'm going to, wherever I paint, it's going to add this particular effect. So I go Brush. Look at this. As I start painting, you'll see it starts to happen. So now I'm working on this black and white layer and I am painting the black and white in here. Okay, it's now very rough, but just so that you can see and understand what is happening, I am now using this adjustment layer and I'm painting in the adjustment black and white. So if I switch that off, it's there. If I switch that layer off and that one off, we're back at the original. Okay, so I can create multiple adjustment layers to tweak each of these things as we go along. But I don't only have to tweak them by adding a look. I can add the adjustment layer, and while I'm on the adjustment layer, if I do any other tweaks. So let's maybe just, I'm going to go to warm background, switch that on, come back here, but this one, what I'm going to do is just see if I can, I'm going to delete this layer. Okay, so I've got the warm background. I'm going to add a new layer. Let's call that a new adjustment layer. Okay, on the second adjustment, while I'm on the adjustment here, I can then go to, let's put this temperature at 100% yellow, and I'm going to kind of make it like totally crazy so we can see it. So that is an adjustment. So here we can see it's showing adjustment layer 1. They are edited. If I go back to the layer, if I switch it off now, it switches all of that off. Or I can come back and edit mask again, and I'm only going to brush on that very bright overexposed thing onto a face. Okay, so I'm giving it 50% of that. Maybe if I let go of the mouse and repaint again, it's going to put more. The reason it's 50% is because of the opacity there. Then, of course, I can drop the level of this adjustment layer independently also. Okay, so hopefully you're seeing the immense power here. Is that each adjustment I can do, I can create multiple adjustment layers and then be able to tweak each of them. And each adjustment layer can be masked to a specific area in the image. Now, having said that, I know a lot of people are thinking, wow, then I can mask out the lips and do an adjustment on the lips and the eyes. But Luminar's got you covered. You don't even have to go mask out faces and that. With its artificial intelligence, it knows where the face is. And this is the next thing I want to share with you, is the machine learning that this program has. It will be able to replace a sky for you without you masking the sky. You maybe have to tweak it a little bit once it does the replacement, but literally it will mask the sky and do it for you. Human faces, backgrounds, whether it's foliage or things, it has artificial intelligence built to identify these things. So you don't need to even mask. Let me give you an example. Okay, I'm going to, let me delete these two layers. Let me delete these two layers and then delete layer. Okay, and delete this layer. So I've deleted those two adjustment layers and we're right back to the original. Now, what I wanted to share with you was we're going to move off layers. Now I'm going to move to this adjustment layer. and show you how brilliant this is. The genius of this program is where the artificial intelligence lie. Now, I'm going to choose a different picture because I want a bit of background sky to it so that I can show you more of these features. Okay, let's maybe just choose, yeah, we can choose this one. So let's see it that I've got this image, and so we're going to do these 3 images I want to edit. Say this one, and this one. Okay, so maybe I'll start off with this one here. So when you're thinking about working on images in Luminar, you almost got to think now outside the box. You don't think anymore of, okay, the sky is overexposed. Now I've got to go create a mask, and then I've got to drop the exposure or brightness. You know, all of those things. Luminar has tools now that will be able to help you get there quicker, because I think the genius is that they understand that there are so many photos with skies in, so many photos with blown out skies in, so many photos where you take and you want to expose the foreground and the background is totally blown out where there's a sky. We're not talking about buildings or anything. So they've built the algorithms to be able to read that in the image and to help you through the process. So let me just show you this one, for example. If I come to the creative element, there's an AI sky replacement. Now, here you're not doing any masking. You're literally clicking on that button and you're saying sky selection. Now you can load, you know, if you scroll down, you can load your custom skies, but let's use the ones that come with the program. So I'm going to go with Bright Blue Sky 3. Now look at this. It's one click. It's doing image processing, and there's the magic. Isn't that totally incredible? And I love the fact now that most people who are photographers go like, yeah, but the depth of field here, the thing is totally out of focus there, and this thing is too clear. You know, that's not totally authentic. But that's where these guys have really hit the nail on the head. You are able to go move the horizon position if you choose to. So drop the horizon, lift the horizon to wherever you want to. But there's features here with advanced features. You click, go in here, and there's sky defocus. There you can start getting that to blend beautifully. In addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, with all of the layers, you've got a edit mask. So if you feel that that blend is happening too much into this area for some reason, you can go and you can either create a gradient mask, or I'd suggest take the brush and we are going to erase. Okay, if I click on mask, we see nothing because it won't show you an exact mask there. It's using the AI to even calculate all those stuff. But as soon as you paint onto the existing mask that the existing effect that you've created, it will show you what the mask is. So I'm going to say erase because I want to erase this, any of the bleed of these clouds over here. So as I just make one stroke, and then if I click on mask, there you'll see what's happening there. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just let go of the mouse, and I'm going to do a clearing of the mask in this area because pretty much is not needed here. What I'm going to do is go a bit of paint and just paint back that area. So it's intelligently knowing where the sky is in the first place. Let me switch that off. It intelligently knows where the sky is, but you can assist it by drawing on a little bit of a mask in the area. And now because that mask exists, if I go in and I say, let me get a dramatic sky, it's going to know that that area already, if I click on mask, it's already maintained that area for me, if I so choose. Because in some cases, you might find there's a bit of a glare around the object because it's translated that sky right down on the image. Then you can just mask that out. But most of the times you're going to have it as beautiful as this. Okay, so let me go to a sunset. Okay, so that one is a bit too dramatic. Let's go to sunset 4. Okay, so there we have a sun coming out. And here again, I want to just, I get excited about these features. If it's done discreetly, you're going to find it works very well. Now you notice, I don't know if you notice, initially the sky was quite clear, and then it also went defocused. It will take on whatever the settings are for the next sky placing. But if I go to sun, I say place the sun. I'm going to move the sun to that area now. Why do I do that? Because I'm able then to mimic the sun and sun rays. Okay, so if I bring up the amount, can you see there we're getting it? I'm going to do it a bit excessive so you can see the rays. But you see how it has effect on the area. So I can tweak it just to have a bit of overall glare there, penetration, hold it a bit back, sun ray length. You can make the length being lots higher when we move it up. So we can do it excessively. It is phenomenal. Now, don't get too excited and move these bars too far in there. You've got to almost complement the image. If we go to advanced settings, you're able to see the warmth of the sun. You can alter it, make it a bit warmer. Whether the sun's radius is bigger, whether the sun's radius is smaller. It is incredible. It is interpreting how these things work. You also have even a random button where you're able to create these parameters to almost randomize as a starting off point. And then, of course, our favorite, the edit of the mask. You can then mask how much of that effect must have influence in areas. This is so exciting. So I'm going to just undo that because I'm not going to use any rays in that area. Let's go back to the setting over here. Okay, so here we go. This is all light setting, which is the essentials, which is your normal white balance, etc. And it pretty much works like most of the things would work with the settings. I'm not going to go through every single setting, but literally you can sort out your exposures, your temperature, your white balances and everything. And then in the same way, the advanced settings are tucked away so you don't have all of... Can you imagine if you open the thing up and you've got to keep scrolling down to all this stuff? I think the UI is just incredible. That's about the third time I mention it, but I'm excited about it. So advanced settings, you can always tuck it away, and then working with your highlights and the shadow areas in the image. One thing I would like to have is for it to be maybe more and more responsive, but that I assume will come with time. There's such a lot of calculations happening in the background because it's just not a slider and a color. Like the color temperature, if I do that, it happens instantaneous. But when you're talking about the artificial intelligence, it's busy analyzing the image, doing calculations. So a little bit of weight in some cases is worth it. So say that's the adjustment there. And remember, you could do all of these adjustments on a separate layer and keep going and doing that. I'm just doing it all slap bang on the base layer. Okay, AI enhance. Now for portrait work, for landscape work, this is quite incredible because the software is actually analyzing the image and it will do enhancements based on what it analyzes. So I'm going to just take it across, and what I'm going to do is maybe switch on this so that we can see what's going. That's the original, that's where we are. We keep it on that side. But the AI accent is literally reading what's happening in the background. It's adding, the proportionate sort of modifications to the area. It understands that that's background. This is human being in front here. Even if I want to do sky enhancement, look what's happening. It goes and it only alters something to do with the sky. It's taking it maybe darker and so forth. So this is quite incredible. I'm just disable that. AI structure is any other structures. Like if you have a car in the scene or a bottle in the scene, it will define that and it will be able to do some alterations on it. Like you see there, it's doing some crazy alterations in the background. Let's just wait for it to process. So it's using AI structure to do modifications in the background, but it doesn't touch the human skin. So that for me is just so exciting. I must stop saying so exciting and incredible because all of this stuff are of that level. So forgive me for that. So let's go black and white conversion again, detail enhancer, denoiser, landscape enhancer, vignette. I'm going to spend time going through each of these sections on another occasion, but you can see the power that we have over here. Going to the next one, we've already touched on sky replacement and the sun in that image that we did. So that was the original totally blown out sky. There we've recreated a sky with really realistic, defocus. I probably could even defocus it a little bit more, but that's fine for now. Then we have dramatic looks, matte looks, mystical looks, all in this area. Another thing is, if you're doing a sky replacement and it was very hazy in the background, you could add haze also there in the sky replacement. Okay, so maybe let's choose one of these and let's go to mystical and see what that adds on. Okay, so we're adding a mystical look. And then we have some advanced settings. So I might just decide I want to add a mystical look onto her face. Then I can go edit mask and say there, I just want to add this adjustment here onto her face. So I won't touch the rest of the image. I'll just paint that onto her face. Okay, so all I'm doing is painting. If I look at the mask, you'll see it will just paint that area. Okay. So if I switch that off, you'll see it will remove it from that area. Very subtle and beautiful. Okay, so that's what we can do with all the different effects. Then I'm going to go to now, which probably is the one that I'll show a little bit more on, is the portrait. So what this does is, I don't know if some of you have used the portrait software, Portrait Pro. I've got version 18. I think there's 19 and 20 out now. I'm not sure. But they've come out with a software that's able to analyze the face, be able to know where the eyes are, the teeth, and everything, and do that. This software of Luminar does that also, which is incredible. It's not going to give you the ability to start putting makeup and stuff on in the app, because Portrait Pro is designed just for the face, just for modifying the face. This software is busy doing sky replacements, all the editing, but it also has artificial intelligence for the skin. So if we take it in here now and I go AI skin, we can click a single button and it can do all sort of blemish removal. But the one big difference with how this algorithm works is that it doesn't take away the texture of the skin, the pores on the skin. It doesn't give it that, washed out look. That's what's incredible about it. So remove some defects, and if you find that it's removing a mole or something, you can take the mask and just remove the amount of cleaning that it does. So that's where the mask comes in here. So let me just go with the amount and push it up excessively. Okay, so this is an excessive amount here, which we wouldn't really do. Okay, let's just wait for that to process. But still, okay, it's zooming in, but still we're not going to that total blown out effect. That's what I think is so beautiful about it. And if I go to the before and after, let's just see what we have there. Okay, so I would probably pull this back if I was using the skin enhancer and get a nice look on there. Now, yeah, the portrait enhancer is the one that I've been speaking about. The ability to, widen the eyes, to whiten the white areas of the eyes. Like here, if I eye whitening, it will pull it up. Can you see there what it's doing? Maybe it's a bit too excessive there. Now, yeah, I've got so many other effects happening on here. So they're all compounding. That's why it's probably recommended that as you do key adjustments, you just create adjustment layers so that you can always keep those areas separated from each other. But there we can go eye enhancer. Can pull that one a little bit out. And here, face light. This is often you need a bit of light onto the face. Look at that. It's identified that that's where the face is, and it's adding just a bit of light onto the face. Okay, the eyes are a bit too outstanding for me, so we'll just pull that back, the eye whitening a bit. But this is just to show you that we have the ability to modify things on the face. This is quite powerful. Okay, if I disable that, that's what we have. Put it back on, that's where we have a beautiful lighting up. Okay, so let's see what we have. And then we have this autumn effect, which landscape guys like using a lot. But also in portrait photography, you could use the autumn effect, which is this kind of softening overall effect. Okay, And say once I'm happy with these settings, maybe let me just go to the last setting for here and advanced contrast. Let's just do a bit of tweaking over there, a bit of midtones. Say we were happy with this setting, then all we could do is click on looks, come there and say save this look. Okay, if we save this look, we can apply this look to those other images. So I'm going to do that for now, and then we'll round off this video. But hopefully you see the power of what we have here. There's so many adjustments under all of these areas where you pop out. You have the ability to mask everything, layers and that. And hopefully you get the kind of, direction this is going and the power that you have with it. I mean, we could tweak this thing to its nth degree. And like I mentioned right at the start, if you don't want to get to use any presets or the things, then you can just build up your adjustments from layer 1 on your own. So now I'm going to save a new look. Let's call that YouTube. Okay, as we are doing this, and save that. Okay, there was one model, Jesse. If I click that, now you can see this here. If I click on this, it literally will remove all the adjustments that I have made on this layer already. So if I click here, it takes all those adjustments and just replaces them on this particular image. So if I want to keep all the adjustments, I rather create a new adjustment layer and then I can apply it, and I can always choose the amount that used there. Okay, so let me go back to, I was going to stay on this one. Okay, so this is one of the looks we've created, and if you don't know where to get it, you'll go to Luminar looks and you'll go use Luminar looks, which is your user ones, and come here. Now let me show you this. Here we have this image and we have this image. Okay, so normally if we had to want to get that exact feeling across to these other images, we would have had to go mask out these skies and everything. Also, if we wanted to change the face in that specific way, we would have had to mask out the face. So we couldn't just take an adjustment and drop it on there. Here, because we've gone to the portrait section and we said lighten the face, it will lighten the face of every image. It will change the sky on every image. So it intelligently will go and do this when you now want to do the bulk processing. Okay, so let's take this one. Is this the one I did? Yeah, I'm not sure. Did I do that one? Is that the preset that I did? Sure, I can't even remember. But let's take that one. And now I'm going to just go, maybe open it up in, yeah. Okay, it's easier to show. So you can also do this. You can come in here and you can say adjustment, copy adjustments. And I'm going to just pop this now excessively in all of these ones here. Let's see that. Okay, so it's going to take that adjustment and it's intelligently going to replace the skies, like that skies. It's going to intelligently modify the faces, add light onto it accordingly. And that's why I think we are moving into a different era of modifications. This is going to save photographers so much time. You tweak the first one, make sure you're happy with it. And if I want to have that same look and feel across all of these, then I can. I think these ones here, maybe I should just go with these ones because they're probably closer up to the model. Keep shift down and do that. And then right click and say adjustments, paste adjustments. And let's see how beautiful this happens. Okay, so hopefully that inspires you all to kind of get into using the software. It is really, really exciting. Look at that. All of them are taking on those adjustments. The skies are coming in the same. And if you want to only take certain parts of the adjustments, of course, create a separate adjustment layer and then apply that to the image, copy that and paste it across. But here we're getting a whole look and feel of the whole range of images just from the one that we've spent time in. From that beautiful sky, everything. So, I mean, let's just look at one of these images. Let's maximize them while the rest are busy processing. Okay, so we have, as I mentioned, these are kind of big raw files, but look at that. Okay, we've got all of that. If I go now to, It's crunching away in the background, so it might slow down everything here a bit. But I want to just do a before and after. We've literally taken the hard work we did on the other image. Look at that. It's put the sky in automatically exactly like the rest. I'm going to go on before and after. And this is what we're sitting with. Okay. Look there. On the face, lighting everything. Isn't that incredible? So now as a photographer, you're able to take that mood, everything across to every image that you want to. And of course here, if you come and you decide you want to do some modification on one of these features, if you had created it on adjustment layers, then you go to that adjustment layer and tweak it. If you wanted to maybe on this image drop down the amount of it, you can of course, because it's all on this one layer, you can pull down the adjustment layer and get the effect less on there. Or go into each area. If you go into each of these areas, say for lighting, you could go and modify it further there, drop the areas, etc. to your heart's content. That's why I would recommend that you create a new adjustment layer for all of your key adjustments, so that when you're coming to your final tweaks, you have the ability, when you spread the look across many photos and then you want to tweak those individual photos, you have a lot more flexibility with it. But I would probably do a video of working with adjustment layers and how one could optimize that. So this video has been quite a long video, but I think for somebody who doesn't know what Luminar is and who's thinking about getting maybe into photography, or you are a photographer and you've never been exposed to Luminar. So I just hope that you see something in here that excites you. I love the program just because of its creativity, because it's ahead of the curve as far as editing your photos. And once you do your adjustments and everything, it's as easy as file, export, and then you can export the images where you want to into whichever format, and it will export those images out for you with all those specific adjustments. Okay, the same way now, if you've made these adjustments here, you can just right click and say adjustments, copy them, and even come to this image and just say right click adjustments, paste. So you can do individual paste from one image to the other image. Awesome, there we go. It's a beautiful, lovely, soft image. I'm not trying to show you a tutorial on creating the best images. It's merely to show you the potential of the software. So have a fantastic day and God bless.